Hello. Hello. Is I audible? Hello. 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 Hello, dear students. Is I audible? Hello. Hello. This is okay.
No, sir, we can hear you clearly.
Just check it. Check it.
Sir, there is lot of echo. Echo is coming.
Good afternoon, sir.
His voice is okay. Is I
No, there is echo.
is it audible?
Sir, there is echo.
Please, can you mute your voice, please?
Sir, there is a lot of echo and resound of your voice.
Just a moment. Just a moment. Is it okay now? Please, can you check it out?
Yes, sir. It is okay, sir.
Is it now okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, also please mute every participant, sir, because there will be annoying noises.
Almost. I think. Okay. Is it now okay? Can I start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, welcome dear learners. So myself Kishan. So I'm going to deal with the IBO 1, that is International Business Environment. So welcome you all. First of all of you, the happy International Yoga Day. Now get into the lecture. Yes. Is it okay? The screen is open. Yeah. Let's start the lecture. So myself, Kishan, I'm going to deal with the IBO1, that is International Business Environment. So in this IBO, we have almost 5 blocks. The black is going to deal with first, that is the first, these concepts and dimensions of international business environment. And the first chapter in this, the introduction to IBE, and then it deals with the theories of international trade business. And the next chapter in this black one is BOP, that is balance of payment systems. And next, the instruments. And the black two is going to deal with the globalization perspectives and the international investments. It especially deals with FDI and FPS, foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investments. And the next is TNC's transnational corporations. And then it deals with the technology transfer. And this is about the block two. And next is block three. The block three is going to deal with the world trade. First concept is world trade. And next is the multiracial trading systems and regional economic groupings and international community agreement. And then next, international financial institutions. So this is about block three, and we are going to enter the block four, that is deals with the legal environment. It talks about foreign trade, about the legal framework about foreign trade, and the next, the lex class, that is a proper law of contact. The next chapter in this black four, we are going to deal with the international trade disputes. I mean, settlement mechanism and settlement platforms were in this concept, in this chapter we are going to discuss about in this black four. And next block, we are going to discuss about the international trade and environment, and next in international trading services, and then the business ethics, which are related to international business ethics. The last concept about block five, that is electronic commerce. This is about just overview of your, the IBO1. And the first block, we are going to now start with the first block, that is basic concepts and dimensions of international business environment. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the term business, because international business environment is a collection of simple three words, that is the international business as well as the environment. So here, what is business? First of all, we start with the what is business. Simply, the business is an activity which deals with the buying and selling of things, which should be in a continuous basis and should be in a profit motive. This is what about a simple understanding of business. So if you want to qualitize a thing, a business, that thing should be qualified certain criteria. Means that that thing should be involved buying and selling operations or activities, and the thing should be in a continuous mode, not in a one day selling and buying. So it should be in a continuous mode. And the last important criteria of business, that is what that profit motive. These three are important if you want to qualitize anything that is a business. So what is a business? Simply, it is a continuous process of business operations, nothing but commerce or trade. So, and it should be a continuous activity, and it should be involved in the profit motive. So this is all about a simple understanding of business. So then it comes to international business. So what is an overview of international business and how the international business is different from the business? So simply when we are talking about business, so we mostly talk about the domestic, I mean the inland business. What is talk about the onshore business? So onshore business is nothing but it related to, I mean within the boundary of a country or within the boundary of a nation. So when it comes to international business, or when it comes to international business, it deals with the mainly offshore activities. What is offshore activities? Offshore activities are when we entering into the crossing our nation boundary, or we entering into the other nations to mainly operations. Selling and buying operations. So where it comes to international business, we will call it as the exports and imports. But when we are talking about the international business, it should be, it should be deals with exports and imports of activities. So this is all about the international business. And so now talk about how the environment and how the international business are linked to the each and every activity in the present scenario. So why should we learn about the international business and environment? How the environment is related to international business. So in simple way, so when we are starting a business or when we are getting into the other businesses which are far away from our nation, so first of all, when we are entering into that, we should know about the environmental concepts. What is environmental? Simply the surroundings. So that is the simple environment definition according to the ecology. That is, it deals with surroundings and it deals with some ecological aspects and all. But when it comes to business terminology, the environment is deals with the business environment. So what is business environment? So when you're starting a business, you should understand the each and every aspect. Simple, we can call it as the stakeholders. The each and every stakeholder we should consider while we are starting a business. So what is stakeholder in the business? Simple. So when we are starting a business, we should take permissions, or we should take the environmental permission, and we should take license, and we should consider the economic activities and financial activities. All these are come under the environment. So that's the reason we are linking environment here with international business. So when we are starting a business, for example, if you take, you are a Indian original guy, so you are going to start a business with USA or China or some other countries. So first of all, you should take some of the, procedures, maybe government approval, or maybe that particular state approval. So that is what come under the business international, business environment. So the international business, it deals with your in your control, but when it comes to environment, that is not in your control, because it is supported by some other external factors. So where we are going to discuss in the latter slides, this is about simple international business. So why the companies or why the governments are getting into international business? There are some reasons are there here. uh, Please look at the slide here over there. And what are the importance, or what are the features, and what are the benefits are there when we are getting into international business? So these are the some of the benefits or features of international business. So where we are getting into large scale operations. So for example, if you take any business, so maybe the business which are related to with the onshore business, or that business wants to expand their operations with offshore activities, that in that situation, the business is going to expand his economic of scale. So this is what one benefit. When you expand your economies of scale, you are going to cut down your operating cost. So this is what the benefit. That's why in this scenario, all the businesses trying to enter into the global village. So where global village, we are now we are in the technological world, where we are using the technology gains like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We are using those technologies to cut down the boundaries and obstacles over the meeting the different peoples and meeting the different operations of business. This is what one benefit which is coming from international business. That's why the business are getting into the international level, and then integration of economies. So here, when it goes to, I mean, different world economies, we get the chance to integrate the different economies. So for example, if you take US economy or China economy or Indian economy, you can consider those. So in this, so now ultimately, I mean, according to the latest report, the China, which is occupying around 21% of global trade. So all these supplies are which are dominated by China, because some of the resource benefits and all. So this is what the international business. And when it comes to integration of economies, so the India is in the fifth position in terms of economy. India is in the fifth position. When it comes to PPP mode, India is in the third position. So that is what integration of economies and heterogeneous markets. So in simple, what is heterogeneous markets? So in international business, when you want to expand your business, one technique and one tool, one pro forma is not going to apply in each and every country. So based on your local preferences, you should take certain criteria of expanding your business based on the local markets. For example, if you take India is a global, I mean, India is a one market. So in that, you should make some homogeneous features based on the clusters. So if you take the north and east, the south and west, so in that the geographical features and the cultural socio-economic features and some food habits all are different. So in that case, one formula, one policy, it not going to give the fruits to your business. So that's why you should make a heterogeneous markets. So based on your preferences. So these are some of the benefits. And economic of scope, I mean, economic of scale and scope. So simple. What is the scale here? The scale talks about improving the operations. I mean, improving the simple the value. So when it this is what about one feature, and when next talk about the keen competition here, the perfect competition will be there in international business. When it comes to the perfect competition will exist there when all the business and all the economies will come together, and it is possible to make a perfect competition among the all the businesses. I mean, next, market segmentation. So what is market segment? Segmentation is nothing but dividing the markets based on certain criteria. So here, when you are a global gauge, you should work out on how to segment the market. Because if you want to get the proper benefits from the market, you should be go for segmentation. Otherwise, one policy may not applicable to all the markets where you want to establish your business. So this is very important in this market segmentation. And foreign exchange and currency. This is one benefit. If we go for international business of an exports and imports, we can get a foreign exchange and foreign currency in the name of SDRs, in the name of dollars and some other denominations. So then exports, it involves in exports and imports. And this is what about these are the benefits. Because of these reasons, companies are getting into offshore businesses, offshore business operations. So next slide, just a minute. Yeah, simply the all the business environment we can simply, I mean, divide into three categories. One is domestic, one is foreign, and the next one is global environment. So domestic environment. The domestic environment in simply, it is an onshore business operations where it deals with the within the boundaries of a nation. So if you want to, I mean, get into the domestic environment, you should consider the facts. What are the facts here? Competitive structure. How the competitive structure is existed in already in the market. This is very important when you really want to enter into the business. And economic climate. So what is economic climate here is the economic policies, the economic criterias, the economic monetary policies and fiscal policies. Each and every economic activity is going to be impact on your business and domestic business. That's why you should know about in the economic climate. In political aspects, here simply talks about the political risk. So the political yeah, the political risk. The political risk is very, very important. Otherwise, the business is getting some troubles in the operations, because the political risk should be minimal. So, for example, when we talk about stable government or the coalition government. So, when we have the stable government, the all about the laws and economic prospects, which is coming in a minimal time. But when it comes to the coalition governments, it may take some delays. This is what about political risk. So the stable government ultimately gives you some strong point towards your business operation. This is what we have to learn about in political. And legal forces simply it about laws and foreign environment. So domestic is nothing but it is onshore operations. Foreign environment deals with offshore operations, where offshore we are dealing with just two nations. For example, India with China. For example, India with USA. India with any of the Gulf country. So like that, this is related to the bilateral, simply bilateral. So this is in here also the geographical, the economical conditions, and socio cultural activity. I mean conditions and technological conditions. These are also your these factors which are going to influence on your foreign business as well. And next one is global environment. So the global environment is it is something it is advanced to the foreign environment, where we are going to deal with multiple nations simultaneously. So in this global environment, the businessman or a company has to know about these factors: world economic condition, how the world economic conditions are prevailing in the international markets, and international financial system. For example, when we talk about the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and International, World Bank, these are all are very, very important. And what are the policies which are taken place? All these international financial institutions are also very important in this global business. I mean, then international agreements and treaties. If there is any agreements like regional cooperations and policies which are there, and treaties which are there between the nation and among the nations are here, those are going to influence on your business operations. So that's why we should know about these international agreements and treaties as well, and regional economic groupings. So in international business, we have so many regional economic groupings. So like Asian and SAARC, like BRICS, like there are OCED. There are so many regional economic groupings are there. So in all the continents. So each and every, like the important one is European Union also. These are some of the economic groupings. These are very, very important while we are going to talk about the global environment. So simple. Next, the working of international organizations like WTO, IMF, World Bank Group, and UNCTAD, EU, European Union, NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, SAFTA, South African Free Trade Agreement, and NDB, New Development Bank, and ADB, Asian Development Bank. These all are going to influence on your business. So in this global environment, as a businessman, you should know about these factors. So then your business will be in a prosperous mode. So this is all about a domestic environment and foreign environment and global environment. This is simply and a combination of international business environment. Yes. So next slide. The next slide deals with the business environment is going to segregated into two parts mainly. That is micro environment and macro environment. And the next slide. So see about the, look at the slide here. In the middle, the organization is there. This filled, boxes talks about the micro environment. So in this micro environment, we have some factors like customers over here, resellers over here, competitors over here, and the public and the suppliers. This is about the micro environment of your business. When you expand to the macro, so these are the factors which are there here. These are going to be influence on your micro environment factors. So when it comes to micro environment, the micro environment factors are going to influence your business as well as the macro. But in micro, the company has the dominance role. So where, because these are all in the maybe, I mean, the control of your company. But whereas the macro, those are external environments. Those are not in the control of the company hands. So here, the what are the macro factors like political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal. So these are the your macro factors. This box deals with your micro environment. So the basic important criteria of international business environment is this slide. If you properly understand this slide, your first unit is very simple. So this first unit is deals with micro and macro mostly. So that's why this box, I mean, this slide is very, very important uh, in this unit. Yeah, next. Yes. So micro. So micro, or these are the factors with immediate area of operations affecting the performance and business operations and decision making of a business. So who are the I mean, dominating role in the micro environment here is the customers and employees, suppliers and distribution channels, competitors, shareholders, public and media. So here customers are going to influence on your business mostly. Why? Here, when you are going to manufacture, when you're going to manufacture your product, so your ultimate idea or your ultimate goal is looking about, I mean, looking towards the customers. So here the customers are playing an important role in micro environment because those are going to be, we are treating them as a kings of our business, simply kings. Customer is a king. So why should we know about customer in the micro environment? If we are not, for example, I'm a businessman, I'm going to manufacture one product. So ultimate, my product is for ultimate customers. So before manufacturing the product, I should start with my customer analysis. My customer analysis, through there are so many techniques to get the customer ideas, to get the customer I mean preferences, the customer perceptions on product. So because of that reason, the customers are going to play a major role in micro environment of your business. So customer study. So how can you know about the customer preferences? By doing the research. So in that questionnaire form, or making the mass communication, like there are so many platforms are over here. For example, if you take Facebook, nowadays we are using so many Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and other medias. So this is so in that you can get the customer opinions and what product you are going to make and how the customers will feel. So what are the requirements they have about your product of manufacturing? This is all about your customers. And employees also you should consider in the micro environment. These are all you are going to influence on your business. um, I mean, so if you take one Virgin Company is then global company. Uh, the Virgin Company CEO has told about so how you are going to get this much of wealth of your company. Just he replied for that question is just he said about, I just focus on my employees. The Virgin CEO has replied for that question. I just focus on my employees. In turn, the employees will focus on our customers, and in turn, our customers will focus on our business operations. That business operation is going to be make the wealth of my business. Just I'm focusing on only employees. The employees will focus on your customers. Your customers will focus on your business operations, your business volume determine your turnover and your profit at the end. That is what the Virgin CEO's mantra about this micro. And the suppliers and distribution channels also very important in this micro environment. Suppliers are very important here over. If you not get supply in time, so it is going to trouble your business operations. So that's why you should make a good communication and proper enlargement with the suppliers. And then competitors. So here competitors are a very important factor where the competitor is going to determine your business ultimately. For example, recently, in 2006, for example, if you take Geo platform, the Geo platform has entered in the market with a, penetration pricing strategy. The penetration pricing. Before Geo entering into the market, there are so many telecom companies out there. But how the Geo has stand in the market through one simple technique, that is penetration pricing. So when the Geo started using the penetration pricing, it almost has reached to the all the corners of the country. Then it is on the stand of market, and then the Geo platform is forcing some other telecom companies to exit the market. This is what the technique has followed the Geo platform in the competitor analysis. And next, sorry, shareholders and investors. So these are also very important. The shareholders is nothing but, you know very well about shareholders. Shareholders is simply we say that owners of the companies, the equity holders, and those are also very important because they are going to, input. They are going to give input to your business operations in the name of shares. So next, the public and media also play an important role in the micro environment. This is simply about micro. So when you are starting your business, you should focus on micro the first, because those are maybe in your control. So that's why if there is any troubles in the micro factors, you immediately take a decision based on your the board of directors, and then take a proper resolution of that obstacles. This is what about micro. So then we are yes, then we are entering into the macro environment. So here in this macro, first of all, we are going to deal with the demographic factors. So simply, what is demography? So demography is a study which is deals with the population, simply the population. So now we are in international business. So we need to address our business prospects or opportunities in the name of demographic factors like world population growth and changing age structures of population and changing family structures and geographic shifts in the population. And in the same way, the demographic dividend. So demographic dividend is also plays an important factor in demography. So what is demographic dividend? So in this, the demographic dividend is nothing but it is the advantage of a country where the country has the highest youth population. That is called demographic dividend. So when we have demographic dividend, nothing but simply we have more youth population. So then it is an advantage of human resource for that country. So then the country make use that demographic dividend to expand the business and expand the demographic profile of that business. So that is the main important in this. So we should know in this population and density of population growth as well. So you know very well about where the population is highest on the continents now. The Asia is going to be dominate all the continents in terms of population, China and India mainly. So because of that reason, many companies are getting into China's business. And even now, due to some, trade war between China and the US and high tensions regarding the COVID pandemic, some business operations are getting out from the China market or taking some advantage where if the India is, going to give some proper policy attractiveness, then those companies will come into the Indian markets. So this is demographic factors. And geographical factors also very important in one macro environment. First of all, the climate conditions. For example, if you take the total world map, so in that we have, for example, the 0 degree latitude. So in the 0 degree latitude, the temperature is more. When the latitude is going to increase towards the pole, the temperature is going to be down. Okay, so based on that condition, for example, if you want to make a business in the woolen garment, for example, if you take, you want to make a business regarding woolen markets, so then, so where the demand is more, so you can easily understand by geographical factors. When the latitude or is high, for example, if you take latitude above the 40 or above the 35 40, then you can get that business, that particular location is exactly perfect for your business. So based on climate conditions, so like that, so this latitude level, this topology of a particular nation or for particular land will give you advices to where you can start a business. And natural resources as well. We have so many natural resources, you know very well about natural resources. Simply we call it as natural capital, the nature capital. So natural capital is also important. So when we are getting into business, we are talking about the human capital, economic capital, all are very important. The same way, the natural capital is also important. Natural capital is nothing but it deals with the ecology, the environment, and all these are very, very important. So nowadays we have the, global resolution in the name of, just wait. Okay. Yeah. Yes. In we have global resolution in the name of SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goals. So the Sustainable Development Goals are started in the year 2015. So all the countries in the world, they are going to take some of the proper, implementations to achieve the targets which are determined under Sustainable Development Goals. So each and every sustainable development goal is talks about your environment, your ecology, your climate action, and all. These are very, very, very important if you are starting a new business. So you should consider the geographical features, mainly global warming and climate action, and sustainable practices and green practices, especially green practices in your business operations. So that is going to influence on your business. And next slide. This slide talks about economic and financial environment. So this is very, very important in your external environment, that is macro. So firm's capital structure. The capital structure is divided into debt as well as equity, the debt equity debt and equity proportion. So where that is going to be influence on your business. The capital is very important. That is the building block of your business operations. So we should need to understand the capital structure, how your capital structure is there, whether you have more equity or whether you have less equity, or whether you have more debt or whether you have less debt. So based on that condition, also your business operations is going to be important. So recently, recently means yesterday, the Reliance Industries has announced that the Reliance Industries has debt-free company. Debt-free company means in that the all the capital which is in the hands of shareholders. The capital is not there. If you take the RIL, the recent balance sheet, you may not find that the borrowing area. So you can find over that only equity area. So that capital structure will also determine your operations and your attractiveness toward the shareholders to put their money into your business. And investment decisions. Here also investment decisions are very, very important. Operations and financial decisions, operational investments and long-term finance investments, those will influence on your business operations. And accounting practices as well also going to influence. And economic development, which is a factor which determine, so how we can determine the economic development. You know very well about the economic development we can measure in terms of GDP and GVA values. What is GDP and what is GVA? GDP simply talks about gross domestic profit, and where the GVA talks about gross, gross value added. So here, GDP is simply, it is a final value of your products of a country, that is GDP. So we can measure the GDP in two, whether it is nominal GDP or whether it is real GDP. The nominal, which reflects the inflation rate, where the real GDP may not influence your inflation rate. So GVA is also is a one part where in the GDP we are going to calculate. GVA simply, it is exclusion of taxes from GDP. So that is GVA. That is a indication of economic development. That also will influence on your business. When your GDP is more, when we compare with global economies, the global foreign institutional investors will come into your country and make their contribution in the name of FPIs. And that is also economic development to make very influential factor over macro. And inflation, the inflation rates as well is a very important, they're based on inflation rate. So now we have 5.8 percent is there we have in India inflation rate, and previously we have 6.1%. And now foreign investment. So the foreign investment is very essential for the global business, where first the FDI. FDI means the foreign direct investment. FPI means foreign portfolio investment. FDI, foreign direct investment, the people who are from different nations, they will directly come into our nation or any nation. They can take a ownership right. Here they will get the ownership influence in terms of FDI. But whereas FPI, foreign portfolio investment, deals with to put your money into the share markets in the name of debt, in the name of equity. This is FPI does not have the management control, but whereas FDI has a management control, because they are getting the direct influence, direct investment. So this is foreign investment. And foreign exchange as well as a very important factor in your macro environment. And capital markets, you know very well, capital markets deals with share markets, like derivatives and equities, debt, as well as there are so many ETFs and other products are there in the capital markets. The next BOP, the balance of payment system. The balance of payment system is also an important factor where we can deals with the Indian operations. For example, when India is dealing with other countries in the name of exports and imports, those all factors, those are all activities are going to, put your in the BOP statement, that is balance of payment statement. So about BOP, we are going to discuss in the later slides. The next, monetary and fiscal operations, fiscal policies. The monetary policy related to the money supply, how the RBI is going to take about the monetary supply, how monetary supply is there, what are the measures are RBI is taking, and how money is available in the market. These are all factors will influence the macro. And fiscal policies like tax, budget, and fiscal deficit, primary deficit, all are going to influence your business under the name of fiscal operations. So this is about economic and financial factors of your macro environment. Next, socio-cultural environment and political environment and technological environment and ecological and legal. These are all your macro environment. Simply we can see here, this is about your micro and your macro environment. So micro is in the control of business, macro is not in the control of business. So this macro is external and micro is internal. Based on your cap conditions, you can take a decision as a businessman. So when it comes to macro, those are not in your hand, but you take the opportunities based on the government policies. So this is about your international micro and macro environments. Next, we are going to discuss about balance of payments. Yes, yeah, balance of payments. So here, the balance of payments, according to Kinderberger, the balance of payments of a country is a systematic record of all economic transactions between the residents of a reporting country and residents of foreign country during a given period of time. So what is balance of payment? Simply, the balance of payment talks about, for example, if you take India, India is deals with different nations for exports and imports businesses. So when India exports and the same time when India imports, so where the India is going to, make the transactions. So that platform, simply the balance of payments. The balance of payment is a statement where we can write the imports of a business, imports of a country and exports of a country. And at the end of the year, so we are going to balance that statement and we can make a deficit balance or surplus balance based on those imports and exports operations. That is about the balance of payments. Simply, the balance of payment is based on the double entry system of bookkeeping. The balance of payment system is based on the double entry system of bookkeeping. So what is double entry system of bookkeeping? We have learned about double entry system of bookkeeping in the intermediate level. So this talks about when you are dealing with a transaction, the transaction has two heads. One is debit and one is credit. So that's why the BOP statement follows the double entry system. When you are exporting something, you are getting something. So that is the reason here we are following double entry system. And next, so according to RBI, what is the definition of balance of payments, BOP? Balance of payments of a country is a systematic record of all economic transactions between residents of a country and rest of the world. It presents a classified record of all receipts on account of goods exported, services rendered, and capital received by residents and payments made by them on account of goods imported and services received from the capital transferred to non-residents or foreigners. So this is defined by RBI. So what about this summary? Simple. It involves economic transactions between nation with other nations, and it is based on the classification of record based on double entry system, and where it deals with goods, services, okay, goods as well as services, and as well as the capitals. The capital transactions also will be involved, and payments also will be involved. So this is simple, about the balance of payment. When it comes to features, the systematic record of economic transactions, and it includes transactions visible and as well as invisible. Okay, so when it comes to visible transactions, this is talks about the trade. Trade of simply goods, merchandise. When it comes to invisible, this deals with the services. Whether you are exporting your services or whether you are importing your services, will come under invisibles. So it relates to a period of time. Generally, it is an annual statement. So for every year, for example, if you take Indian government, RBI will prepare the BOP statement to know about, so what is the balance, of India's operations when India dealing with business operations in the name of exports and imports. And it is based on WTO system. It has two sides. This is very important here. The balance of payment has two sides. One is credit side and debit side. So credit side, we are entering into the money which is received from foreign residents and foreign companies, and debit side, simply it is payments. So what credit side is receipts, and debit side is simply payments. Receipts are recorded on credit side and payments are on debit side. This is two sides of balance of payment statement. Next slide. So here the balance of trade. So balance of trade, BOT is a very important term where we can use in the balance of payment transactions. So BOT is talks about the trade balance, simple. So it talks about the trade transactions or marketed transactions. So if you want to get the favorable balance of trade, your export of goods should be more than your imports. So then you are in the positive side of balance of trade. So when your imports are more than exports, you may be in the deficit. You are in the deficit. So this balance of trade is very important. It deals with the merchandise. So this is the difference between BOP and BOT, where BOP means the balance of payments, BOT means balance of trade. Balance of payments is a broader term than BOT, it's a narrow term. BOT includes only visible items, see here. Only visible items means the goods or merchandise. Here the services are excluded from BOT. This is very important in the balance of payment accounting. The BOT is very important. And when it comes to BOP, the BOP includes all the transactions which are related to visible. Visible means the merchandise. Invisible means the services, the capital transfers, nothing but the capital account. Okay. So here BOP includes the total of your business, BOP accounting, where current account will include, where capital account will include, where reserves will include, where discrepancies, statistical discrepancies also will include. That is BOP. Where BOTs includes only the visible item, that is balance of trade. Okay. BOP is always balance itself. Why? Because we are using the double entry system of bookkeeping. That's the reason the two sides will always be equal. That's the reason BOP always is the equal. That is called equilibrium in the BOP. And so BOT may be favorable or unfavorable. So what is favorable balance of trade and what is unfavorable balance of trade? So here the favorable balance of trade talks about when your exports of trade, when you are dealing with BOT, you just focus only on merchandise trade. You don't should be focused on the services trade. So whereas it can be favorable balance, your exports of trade is more than your imports. Simple, that is favorable balance. Where unfavorable is deficit. Favorable is surplus of trade. Unfavorable is deficit of trade. So here, BOT is equals net earnings on export minus net payments for imports. Net earnings on exports minus imports. Simply exports minus imports is BOT. When imports minus exports is deficit BOT. Clear? That is. So when BOP is talks about, this is current account, capital account, and balancing item, that is errors and omissions. Those we will talk about later. And BOP is a main factor, is going to affect, these are the factors: conditions of foreign lenders, economic policy of the government, and the factors of BOT. These the factors will influence on your BOP. Okay, when it comes to BOT, the cost of production and availability of raw material and exchange rate and price, these are going to influence on your BOT. So this is the difference, the overall difference between BOP means balance of payments and BOT means balance of trade. Okay, where balance of trade will deals with only visible transactions of a BOP. Simply we can call it as BOT is a part of BOP. Where BOP is a comprehensive term where we can include current account, capital account, and balancing item and reserves, that is balance of payments. In the next slide. Yes. So what is the importance of balance of payments? Why should we know about balance of payments of a country? So when it comes to India, RBI is going to maintain the BOP accounts. If you want to really know about the foreign reserves and the BOP accounting terminologies, and you can log into RBI website, you can find the BOP statement of each and every year of India. So it records all the transactions that create demand and supply of a currency. Okay. So it is going to judge economic and financial status of a country in short term. So presently, so recently, I think yesterday, the government announced we are in surplus foreign reserves. We are in surplus foreign reserves. So that is that is a positive indication to the FPIs. Okay, it's a positive indication that resembles the financial status of a country and the economic status of a country. So this is the importance of balance of payment, and it may confirm trend in economic international trade and exchange rate of currency. This may also indicate change or reversal in the trend as well. So next, this may indicate policy shift in the monetary policies of which is taken by RBI, and it is confirmed going to about economics, international trade, and exchange rate of currency. So these are the some of important factors of balance of payments. And when it comes to a rule, general rule of BOP accounting. So simple, these two rules are very, very important. Please focus on these two rules when you are really working on BOP accounting. So if the transaction ends foreign currency, if the transaction ends foreign currency for the nation, it is receipt. Simply, it is receipt. Whether this earning may be due to export or maybe due to borrowing, whatever. So if you earn something from other nation in the name of foreign currency, just keep the transaction as a credit side. What we discussed earlier, BOP has two sides, that is credit side and debit side. If you get something from foreign nation, so that is your receipt. So you should include in the credit side of balance of payment accounting. So what it tells about, it is a plus item of your balance of payment. Then if the transaction involves spending or payment of a foreign currency, it is you are remitting yourself to other nations. So that is your debit entry. So it is a negative item because you are sacrificing your foreign currency to other nation. Because of that reason, you are put this spending transaction of a foreign currency in debit side of balance of payments. So next, simple. These are the basic components of BOP statement. Simple BOP accounting. Yes, sorry. Yeah, BOP accounting. So here we have capital account, we have current account, capital account, reserve account, errors and omissions. So errors and omissions is nothing but statistical discrepancies. Okay, and these four are very important of components, and each and every account we should create while we are while we want to get the proper whole understanding of BOP. So these four accounts are very important in the BOP accounting process. So next slide. Yeah. Yes, this is current account. First of all, before dealing with current and capital, just I will show the pro forma of BOP. So this is the layman pro forma of BOP, where see about the top receipts deals with credit. Credits means the plus balance, and where the right side, that is payments, that is debits. Simple pro forma. Okay. And when it comes to receipt side, that is your credit. I already told that when you are getting something receipt from foreign currency, you should keep that transaction in the credit side. So simple, that is why that is a simple your receipt. So receipt means your plus balance. So here, how can you get the plus balance? So when you are exporting something, so here what you are exporting, you're exporting of goods. Just we are, so in this accounting, when we're talking about goods, it is merchandise. So when you are exporting of goods, you will get the receipt. In the same way, when you are exporting of services, you will get the receipt, that is credit balance. The third item, interest. How can you get interest? When you put investment in other nation, you will get interest, and as well profits, as well dividends you will get. I think you know very well about what is dividend, what is profit, what is interest. I mean, I think it is need not to say about those definitions. So that is also your receipt. And the fourth item is unilateral receipt. I think you may get a confusion over here, the unilateral receipts. So what is unilateral receipts means? For example, for example, recently the India has contributed some for example, some dollar, maybe some millions of dollars for the sake of the natural calamities, or maybe any natural calamities which occurred in the, for example, recently we seen the bushfire in Australia, and recently cyclones in some Madagascar, I think, and even some recently we seen some cyclones in Bangladesh as well. So for this some nations will come forward and to give in the name of natural calamity relief fund, maybe gifts, maybe transfers. So these are come under unilateral. In these unilateral receipts, we are not getting in the back. For example, when you're exporting something, you are getting something clear. So, but when it comes to unilateral transfer, you are not getting, instead of giving, just you are giving. There is a only one way of transaction, that is gift and funds, natural funds like that, natural calamity funds like that. So all are will be recorded in this for unit receipts. This is all about your current account. Okay, current account. This up to 1 to 4 is your current account. Current account. Okay, and then comes to payment side, import of goods. Here, what is import? You know very well. When we are importing, for example, India importing some goods. So if you want to know about imports and exports, you go through the Google. You can get the, I mean, what are the different types of products we are importing, and who are the trade partners, export partners, import partners. You can get from that. So here, importing of goods is a payment. That's why we include in the debit side. Importing of services is as well a remittance or payment. That's why we include in the debit transaction. And interest, profits, dividends, when we are paying. So when we are receiving interest, when we are receiving profits, dividends, we are including the receipt side. When payment is debit side. And here same unilateral transfers, unilateral payments. This is unilateral receipts, unilateral payments. This is all about from this here to here. This is current account. 1, 2, 3, 4 is your current account. The current account is a part of BOP. Clear? Yes. Next, come to capital account. Yeah, capital account. So capital transactions, you know very well, capital transactions means foreign investments, short-term borrowings, medium long-term borrowings. These will be included in the capital account transactions. So for example, if you see the receipt side of capital account, this is from here, from 5th transaction to 8th transaction, including the capital account. This is capital account balance. From here to here, this is current account balance. Clear? Yes. Yeah. Foreign investments. Here, foreign investments is nothing but your foreign direct investments and foreign portfolio investments. So when you are receiving foreign direct investment, when you are receiving foreign portfolio investment, just you should record under the receipt side, that is credit side. So when you are, putting investments in other countries, so then it is going to be like payment, that is payment side. So short-term borrowings, that is receipt. When we are borrowing something from other nation, when we are lending to other nation, that is payment. Okay, borrowing is receipts, lending is payment. And here the borrowing may be short or medium. Okay, and then what is statistical discrepancy? Errors and omissions, simple errors and omissions. For example, if you take, so in this year we are preparing balance of payment. If we or ignored any transactions in the previous balance of payment account, just we are importing those transactions which are ignored in the previous one, just we are putting here those transactions or statistical discrepancy. So that is called errors and omissions. So this is about your 5 to 8 transactions is about your capital account. So when you add current account with capital account, you will get the total balance. So what is the total balance? Here is the balance of payments from 1 to 4, that is balance of current account. From 5 to 6 is balance of capital account. So when we add current account balance, capital account balance, we will get the overall balance, that is BOP balance. Simply, the BOP balance may be positive or negative. So when the receipts are more, we will get the positive balance. When the payments are more than receipts, we will get the negative balance. That is what this is simple a layman pro forma of balance of payment. Then comes to the 9th transaction we will discuss in the next slide. That is just this is capital account, what we discussed in the pro forma capital account. And next one, just a moment. Yeah, so this is reserve account. What is this reserve account, from where it is come? So when you go for this pro forma, this 9th item which is there in the pro forma of balance of payment, reserves, clear? Reserves, just we are going to discuss reserve account. Okay, what is reserve? What is reserve account? What reserve account will consist? Simply, the reserve account will consist of IMF SDRs. I mean simply IMF contribution and SDR. The SDR is very important in the reserve account, that is special drawing rights. We will discuss in the latter about what is special drawing right. Then reserves and monetary goal. So here, so we just look at on the monetary goal factor. In the balance of payments, we have two types of monetary items. I mean gold items. One is monetary gold. The second one is non-monetary gold. So monetary gold means when the RBI deals with the gold, when the RBI deals with the gold, that is called as monetary. When non-monetary items are not the which will be included in the current account. Where monetary gold, when RBI is going to deal, for example, in the name of gold ETFs, gold bonds, all are there. So those are the proper authority. When the proper authority dealing with the gold, that is called monetary. Clear? And these are your reserve account balance. So what is the importance of reserve account? What is the importance of reserve account? So before reserve account, we discussed about capital account, current account. Clear? So after the, I mean, clubbing of capital account, current account, we may get positive balance as well as negative balance. We don't know. So after the, I mean, preparation of balance of payment account, only we will get whether the balance or deficit or surplus. So here the reserve account will play an important role where the balance of payments will get in the negative. So when we have deficit in the balance of payment, the reserve account is going to, I mean, fill the gap which is there in the name of deficit in the BOP statement. That is the importance of reserve account. Clear? And what is reserve account? Simply, reserve account is going to fill the gap or fill the deficit which is there in the balance of payment accounting. So reserve account consists of IMF funds, SDRs, your foreign monetary gold, your forex reserves. These are your reserve account balance. So now we are going to discuss about special drawing rights. What is special drawing rights? The special drawing rights is, we cannot call it as a currency. Just the special drawing right is a unit of IMF, International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund has assigned the SDR quota for each and every member state. So based on their voting power, based on their contribution. Okay. So when it comes to India, uh, approximately we have 2.7% of SDR's proportion. Proportion or voting power in IMF. When it comes to US, US is going to dominate with, I think, 16% of SDR. Okay. So this SDR or quota will determine your voting power in IMF meetings. So this slide, next slide, sorry. Where it is? Yeah, this is SDR basket. This is SDR basket. Special drawing rights basket. The special drawing right basket will consist of 5 currencies. Here, the US dollar is going to be dominated with 41.73%. Okay, 41.73%. Then the second dominator is Euro, European Union, around 31%. Then Chinese renminbi, Chinese yuan, we can call it as renminbi as well. Chinese, the proportion is, share is 10.92%. Then Japan with 8.33%. Then British pound sterling with 8.09%. So this is about SDR basket. So based on these 5 currencies, the IMF will decide the SDR value. For example, India has allotted some of the amount of SDRs. So how can India can claim? So the India, if the India wants to use the SDR, the India may go and use under these 5 currencies only. So we cannot go for other currencies, which are because this is SDR basket, which is determined by IMF. This basket prevail until 2020. Okay, it started. This basket related to 16 to 20 in next year, and the IMF will change the SDR basket. So this is about your SDR basket. Just yeah. Yeah, this is pro forma. Yes. Surplus and deficit, 2 concepts. Simple in the BOP where credit is greater than debit. So we already discussed what is credit here. Credit is receipts, whether current account, capital account. Just credit is receipt. Debit is payment, whether current and capital. So when we get the receipts more than payments, means credit more than debit, we will get surplus balance in the BOP. So when it comes to deficit, this is opposite. Okay, credit is less than the debit. Here debit is going to dominate. Debit is going to dominate, nothing but your payments are going to dominate. So in this deficit case, you may use your for reserve account to fill the gap in the balance of payments. Simple. This reserve account is going to be equilibrium of your balance of payment, deficits. Simple. This is all about your balance of payments. Yeah. So if there is any disequilibriums in the BOP, there are some of the reasons. The cyclical fluctuations and shortfall in the exports and economic development factors and rapid increase in population and structural changes, natural calamities, international capital movements. These are some of the causes behind the disequilibrium in the balance of payment system. So these to be addressed by some of the mechanism which is based on monetary policy, fiscal policy of the government. So this is just wait. Yeah. So now I'm going to end. Just a bit.